champion absolute champion in the breathing in the water.
I'll tell you what, Dominic, was that 4 lengths underwater?
I think we're 5 that. I've got the record for doing more.
No, I've got the record.
No, I've got more. I've got the record for more lengths underwater.
I've got the record! This is Scotty Silver for IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. We're loving life at Kell Brook Pad in the pool. It's one and only Mr. Dominic Ingle. How you doing, Dominic?
This is Casa de Kell, isn't it? You know, the house of Kell, the Villa de Kell. So yeah, it's good. We've Kell's been out here that long now. He's decided to buy a residence here. Probably a tax exile with all the money he's earning. So yeah, it's a nice way to spend Christmas and the New Year. Training, good environment. The sunshine's been out every day. It's been blazing, and it's a great atmosphere and a great climate to train in.
And that sun is so hot. Yeah,
the sun's boiling. I always remember a video years back of when Naz boxed Barrera, and I think they were in Palm Springs. It was a desert atmosphere. It was, ridiculously hot, and he said, you could see Big Bear. He's up that mountain where it's freezing cold, and I think that's where Khan is, in the upper mountain somewhere in Denver.
It's a bit different.
The difference is, Naz got beaten that fight, where in this fight, Kell's not going to get beat. We're in the sunshine. It's the best place to be, and his training's going well. This is coming into the 4th week out here. He's took himself away from his friends, family, and the comfort zone, and he's training hard.
Do you think this is probably the first time you've ever conducted an IFL interview whilst being in the swimming pool?
Yeah, because obviously we usually done with Coogan, don't we, down London somewhere. We're not, we won't want him in a spa anywhere in London, will we, with a camera?
I think I've got the best job.
So yeah, it's not too bad, is it?
So a quick recap as well on last year. A bit of an up and down year for you. Achieved great things. I should imagine the highlight, finally seeing Barry lifting the world title. How would you assess last year?
Yeah, listen, it's been a bit of a strange one since COVID came along, fighting behind closed doors, and some shock results in that happened. Josh Warrington got beaten, he got stopped when it wasn't expected. Obviously Barry won the title and then got beaten the title, so lots of things have happened. It's been up and down. It has been up and down a couple of years, but it's it's produced some good fights. It's been interesting, and hopefully now, I know we've had we're in England, it's January, and we've got these restrictions or whatever's going on, but hopefully now it's behind us, and it's going to start to resume with something like normal, and more fights and more shows can be going off. I know Liam Williams' fight got postponed. It was due in January, and it's now in February, which is is good I think for Liam. It'll give him more time, and he's got a fantastic chance of winning that fight. I'm expecting him to win that. So it's give everybody a little bit more time, but hopefully from now on it can be a smooth run, and fights going to be made, and it's going to be big venues, and we're not going to get clamped down anymore, because we've had a bit of rough time in boxing. We need to keep it flowing and keep it moving. There's some interesting fights out there. This is all going on with Tyson Fury and Dillian White. That's interesting. We've got Anthony Joshua Usyk rematch, so there's plenty to keep you in a job. There's plenty happening, so yeah, it has been up and down, but it's probably one of my most famous quotes, that the only predictable thing about boxing is unpredictability. That's what it is, and that's what you've got to be prepared for in boxing. You could get beat one day and win the next, and there has been some surprise defeats.
Just touching on Liam Williams, obviously he's been you're not training him at this particular point. Was everything sort of amicable with Liam? Was there any sort of comment or anything you...
No, listen, we had a good 3 years. He trained hard. He came to Sheffield. He did remarkably well. He revived his career when he came to Sheffield, and I was surprised that he actually stayed for that long. 3 years, it's a long time, travelling backwards and forwards, but we had some good fights. He's in a good place, and with Liam, he needs a change sometimes. For him, a change is as good as a rest.
Yeah.
And he's down on the training with Adam Booth. That's a different kind of atmosphere, different kind of training. He seems to be enjoying it, and he'll get a bit of an insight into Chris Eubank Jr. I had him training for a short while, and I think it's a fight that Liam is more than capable of winning if he fights the right fight. Eubank's coming back down to middleweight from being at super middleweight. Will be a bit of a difference for him. Liam can punch. He's strong. He's a little bit younger. He's been in with good fights. Andrade was a good fight. Obviously didn't get the decision, but he acquitted himself quite well, I thought, considering the circumstances. So it's been interesting. I'm looking forward to that fight, and then obviously a couple of weeks after we've got Kell against Khan, haven't we? So
yeah. And of course Kid Galahad's over here as well. I was talking to Kid. He seems in a really good place. Lots of speculation. I should imagine maybe news coming over the next few weeks?
Well, we leave it to Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith. You know, they're sorting a fight out in March, so we'll see where that ends up. But you know, straight back in the straight training. Obviously, a bit of an upset. What happened? A bit of a surprise, but it happens in boxing. You know, sometimes we don't expect these things, and you know they happen, and it's how you bounce back from them. Yeah. So you know, it's there's ups and downs in every aspect of life, and you know, I think the longer you're in boxing, I've been in boxing a long, long time. You know, there's lots of ups and downs. You've got to expect it, and it's how you bounce back from it. Yeah. So you know, we'll keep moving on.
Well, I was talking to Kell and just saying about. So cool, just sort of seeing you back together again after all these years where it all began, and you know, he said you're like a father figure to him as well, and obviously with the relationship you got, you know when Kell is on the button, you see all the little things that no one else sees, and you generally feel Kell's in a good place going into this fight.
Well, you know, most fighters at 35, especially in the lighter weights, are finished, aren't they? And you know, Kell's had ups and downs, a lot of injuries, you know, fractures in his eye sockets, both of them. He got stopped against Crawford in his last fight, so you know he wasn't right for that fight. I don't know why. Maybe it was just getting down to the weight of 10-7 again. What finally finished him off. But you know, you can tell when you've been in training camps over the years with him for the fights, the Sean Porter, the big fights, Golovkin. You know what he's capable of, and he's still training as hard, you know, at 35, and that shows something, because you tend to find when fighters get a bit older, they try and cut the corners, they try and make it an easier camp. You know, he's getting a big payday for this, win or lose. And you've got to ask where the incentive is, but you know, pride's on the line in this fight. Khan's ribbed him for so long and tormented him, and you know, it's funny because we had Brian Rose over here last week, and they were all sharing room on a training camp when, you know, Khan was supposed to have schooled Kell, and when I asked Brian, he didn't commit himself, he just laughed and just shook his head. He says, I know who the winner's going to be. So you know, you can do all that kind of taunting, Khan, but you know, come that night, there's going to be no excuse, there's going to be nowhere to run and hide. There's the corners of the ring, and that's the worst place he wants to be. You don't want to be in the corners, and it's, you know, I don't watch a lot of stuff on social media or, you know, IFL TV about Khan, but people are telling me that he's done a few interviews and he seems to be making excuses about this injury and that injury, and kind of putting it out there already. I mean, I won't be surprised if, you know, I don't think it's past him to either pull out with an injury or say he's got COVID. You know, it's like you tend to find the closer that fighters get to the fight date, you know, why is it always the fighter pulls out a week before the fight with COVID or an injury? It's never like 3 weeks before, is it really? It's always, and it's kind of the realisation that sometimes they're not where they need to be in the camp, and they haven't done the work. And you know, look at Khan, he's been over in Nebraska, he's gone to Denver, he's all over the place. You need to be settled in training camps. You know, he's gone with Crawford's trainer. You know, whether that's a good move or not, I don't know. So, like I said, we've got our camp set out. I know where Kell is when he's over here in Fort Ventura. You know, we've got the weather. I know he's capable of his sparring, his runs, his cycling. You know, he's still performing like a relatively young man. You know, the best camp he ever had was when he boxed Sean Porter. That's a few years back now. And he put everything into that camp, and I wasn't surprised with the result. But, you know, this is a big fight for Kell. It's a big fight for the UK. People were putting this fight down saying it's not going to sell. It's well past its sell-by date. But, you know, if you're getting people getting interested in Jake Paul and Tommy Fury and them type of fights, people these days, they want to see these kind of fights. Yeah, it might not have happened when it should have done, but at least it's happening, and it gives something for the fight fans to look forward to. There's going to be a hot debate on who's going to win. There's going to be a lot of money getting laid down. You've got the pro Khan fans and the pro Brook fans. But I personally think that at any stage Kell would have boxed Khan in his career, Kell would have beat him. And I don't think that's changed now. I still think Kell's you know, better than Khan, and Khan's worse for wear, to be honest. So, you know, we'll see.
Well, I spoke to Kell earlier. He's going for the knockout, and no surprise there for Kell to say that. And I've interviewed you several times over the years. You've always thought that, if anything, it would be a knockout for Kell. But are you still thinking along those lines now? Yeah,
I mean, like, listen, you can't. It'd be great to get a knockout, and Kell has got the power to knock Khan out, and Khan hasn't got the chin to take it. But he's a good boxer. He can get out of the way. Look, he did all right with Canelo for 6 rounds. Kept out of the way. You know, a lot of people thought he was winning that fight, but you just don't know whether Canelo was letting him win the fight, letting him gas himself out, and then pounced on him. It seems to be the Canelo's way. But he did all right. He got fast hands, but I'm not sure he's got the speed anymore. As you get older, you know, you never lose your punch. you never lose your punch power, but your speed tends to decline, and the ability to take a shot tends to decline. So obviously Kell got stopped by Crawford in his last fight quite early. But Kell still got that power when he's hitting the pads, when he's hitting the sparring. You can see the power's there, but you can't just rely on the power. You've got to box your way in to land the shot, and I think you'd be a fool to make the mistake. Canelo did it clever. He kind of tired him out, and then hit him with a backhand right while Khan was slinging the shot, kind of timing him just right. But Canelo can do that. He's the top of the game, top of his game at the minute. He's been with everybody, and like I said, he destroyed Khan. Really put him to sleep, didn't he? It's not going to be the game plan to try and knock him out early. It's the game plan is to win the fight. If the knockout comes, it comes. But you've got to be patient with Khan. He can run you around the ring. He's got good footwork, got fast hands. If he's still got that, who knows? He's been out for a long time. His last fight wasn't a massive threatening opponent, was it? It was a fight he was supposed to win from a guy who's coming up from lower weights. So Kell's last fight, Crawford, all right, he got stopped uncharacteristically for him early. So there was something not right on that night. I personally think that although Kell could get down to 10-7, the process of rehydration and getting up there and being good at the weight going into it, bearing in mind that Crawford came up from lightweight, super feather when he boxed in Scotland against Ricky Burns. I think it's super feather, was it? But so he's actually the smaller man coming up weights, whereas Kell's always the bigger guy coming down. So it's always going to affect you in the long run. No matter anybody thinks, it's always going to affect you, that weight drop, especially when you get older. And that's probably why the more successful fighters like Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao have moved up through the weights as their careers have progressed. Look at Manny Pacquiao going against Thurman, a middleweight. When Pac-Man was supposed to be past his best, and he run rings around Thurman. They were tipping Thurman for big things, but he's had injuries and setbacks. And actually Manny Pacquiao knocking him down as well. You've never seen Thurman down in a fight, I don't think. No. So you've got to, and his chin was solid. He got knocked out by Marquez badly, lighter weights, but when he went up the weight and boxed the bigger guys, his chin held up. Yeah. So you've got to take that into the calculation. So there's lots of factors in this fight. What's going to determine the winner? I just think Kell, on the whole, has a better chin than Khan. He's not been asleep when he's been knocked out. Khan has. He's been unconscious a few times, and that does have an effect over time. It does. You can't get away from that. And I think the amount of time that Khan's been out of the ring and not training is going to be a factor as well. Yeah. Well, before I let you go and warm up, one thing I just wanted to touch on. I spoke to Kell about the whole rehydration thing. Both Kell and Amir don't really want to give too much away, but Kell has said he will make weight. He always makes weight, and he will make weight for this, regardless of any speculation that might be going on about. Oh no, he'll always make weight. I mean, we've got the MTK nutritionist Greg Marriott, who's been doing his diet forever and a day. He did Billy Joe Saunders, he's done Tyson Fury's. He knows him like the back of his hand. His weight's that good. The other day he went out, he's eating pancakes, ice cream, chocolate. He had a right blowout. And then within 2 days, his weight was back down to where it needed to be. And he's got a smile on his face. He's got the energy. He's got the performance. Boxing training and diet and making weight is down to experience. And like I say, I've been with Kell a long, long time, since he was 10 years old. His nutritionist has been with him probably for the past, 10 years it's got to be. He knows when his weight's going to drop. He knows when to keep his weight up. He knows what his body fat level is. He knows him inside out. He wasn't out with Kell for the Crawford fight. He wasn't out there. He was having to send the stuff remotely. This was obviously because of the lockdown and everything else. And sometimes the slightest thing when you're tight at the weight can make a difference. And I believe that's what happened. I believe because Greg wasn't out there with him, that the people who were supposed to be following the plan, not blaming anybody, they don't quite execute it properly because it's not their game, it's not their business. So this time everybody's fully on board. We've been out here since before Christmas. Greg's been doing his diet forever and a day. We've been training for this fight since the summer, expecting it to be in December, so we're more than well prepared. We've had the weeks and weeks of training. You've seen Kell today with his shirt off. He must be about 7% body fat, 6% body fat. He's in fantastic shape now, this far out from the fight. So the training's enjoyable, he's executing it properly, he's got plenty of energy, sleeping good. And like I say, we're in this environment, it's like you don't get this kind of weather in the summers in England. No, so we've avoided coronavirus. Everybody's going down with it in the UK, and everybody's fit and healthy, and that's the main thing. Going into camps fit, your immune system good, plenty of sunshine, and performing well. Yep. Before we wrap it up, anything you'd like to add? I know you've got a big day with other
interviews and things lined up? But
No,
anything
not
else
listen.
like
It's just another day in the office for us. It's just in a nicer environment. It's a nice change of scenery. It's great that Kell's got this place. It's a fantastic place, as you can see. We're all, sleeping, eating, training together, watching TV together, challenging each other on a daily basis. It's fun, training's always fun when we're out here. It's great weather. You recover really well because of the sunshine, and it's 10 times better when you get out, wake up in the morning, and well, you don't wake up in the morning at 7 o'clock, it's dark, but when you actually step out of the villa and start going away to the gym, the sun's just rising out of the ocean. By the time it gets to 12 o'clock, it's blazing hot. So you couldn't ask for a better environment to train in. We've got a fantastic gym down in the town centre, so everything's going to tickety-boo, as they say.
Tickety-boo. Well, on that note, Dominic, we wish you all the very best for our next month, and big props as well from you and Kell inviting me over, and of course Adam Bailey from the gym as well, and we wish you all the best for next month.
Thank you.